I want you to try a little thought experiment with me. Close your eyes for a second. Seriously, just for a moment.
Okay.
Now imagine I walked up to you and asked you to point to where your nation's wealth is hidden. Where does your mind go?
Probably the stock exchange. Or, gold bars in a vault somewhere.
Right. People shouting, numbers flashing red and green, maybe a big tech company's headquarters.
It's the natural reaction. We are conditioned to think of wealth as, financial capital, numbers on a screen.
Exactly. But what if I told you that you were looking in the real giant of national wealth is currently getting stepped on in the backyard of a rural school?
Or floating in a village pond that people just drive past every day.
That's a very provocative way to start, but you're absolutely right.
Today we're shifting the lens completely. We're not talking about stocks or crypto.
We're talking about biological currency. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are unpacking a fascinating strategy, and it's all tied to the Plant Genetic Conservation Project. Under the royal initiative of Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Chakri Sirindhorn. We'll just call it the RSPG.
And I know what people are thinking. A conservation project sounds like charity work. Planting a few trees.
Very nice, very noble, but not really relevant to the economy.
Right. Something you do for CSR for the annual report.
Yeah.
But the source material we have today flips that completely on its head. This isn't charity.
It's a high-stakes economic strategy, a survival guide, really.
And it's all framed through this persona in our source text, a director named Nong Jane. She's pitching to local administrative organizations, the LAOs.
And she's not asking them to just plant a few trees. She's telling them to wake up the local giant.
It's a mobilization plan. The idea is that every single district, no matter how small or seemingly poor, is sitting on a gold mine of genetic resources.
But the leaders are asleep at the wheel.
And in today's world, if you snooze, you don't just lose, you get robbed.
Wow. Great. So our mission today is to unpack this pitch. We're going to look at 3 powers she talks about: speed, seriousness, and heart. And really answer the question, how do you turn a local weed into a new S-curve for the economy?
I'm ready. It's about connecting policy to the dirt on the ground.
Let's start with that first pillar then, the power of speed. The source talks about first mover advantage, but then it gets scary. It mentions biopiracy. Connect those dots for us. Why are we racing?
It's the global context. We're in an era where the next economic boom is all tied to biodiversity and green credit.
So, big pharma, cosmetic companies, agribusinesses.
Exactly. They are scouring the globe for genetic materials. They're not looking for gold anymore. They're looking for genetic code.
For the next superfood, the next anti-aging cream, the next cancer drug.
And here's the danger. Intellectual property. If a researcher from some foreign corporation finds a local herb in your village, let's say it's a root that locals have used for headaches for centuries, and they patent the active compound.
Wait, hold on. It becomes theirs, even if people have been using it for generations.
In the eyes of international patent law, yes. If it wasn't documented in a formal scientific database, it legally didn't exist. The corporation owns it.
So the locals could end up paying royalties for a medicine from a plant in their own backyard?
That is biopiracy. It's theft through bureaucracy.
Theft through science.
Precisely. The source explicitly warns that if local organizations don't map their resources, and this is activities 1 and 2 of the RSPG, someone else will. It's a vacuum.
We have a quote here from Ajarn Apachart. He says, creating a local resource database is like building armor for the country. He calls it a defense against biocolonization.
Biocolonization is a heavy term, but it's accurate. It means we're losing genetic territory. The source says those who are slow miss out on the wealth.
It's a winner-takes-all scenario.
If you don't have the data, you don't have the claim.
Okay, I get the threat. I feel the urgency. But let me play devil's advocate. I'm the head of a local LAO. I have a tiny budget, maybe 3 staff members. I'm fixing potholes. How am I supposed to map the DNA of every plant in my district?
That's the pushback everyone gives. We don't have the manpower. But this is where the strategy gets brilliant.
Okay.
You mobilize the school botanical gardens.
The schools? You mean you use the students?
Think about it. Who has the energy, the curiosity, the numbers to explore every corner of a village? Who knows where the weird berries grow? The kids do.
That is actually kind of genius, but is it reliable? I mean, are we trusting 12-year-olds with national assets?
It's not about them running a genetics lab. It's about the survey. The source calls children the fastest survey force. The local administration gives a bit of budget to the schools, and the kids go out and collect the raw data.
They take photos, they ask their grandparents what a plant is used for.
And once that data is entered into the RSPG system, it becomes a legal stake in the ground. You've established prior art. You've blocked the patent troll before they even bought a plane ticket.
So you're killing two birds with one stone. You're educating the kids and securing the district's intellectual property.
And you're doing it fast. That's the power of speed. But speed is just defense. It stops you from losing. It doesn't help you win. For that, you need to switch gears.
Which brings us to Pillar 2, the power of seriousness. This section gets a bit critical. It talks about moving past planting trees for face.
Oh, we've all seen it, the ceremonial planting. The official, with a gold-plated shovel, plants a sapling. Everyone claps for the photo.
And then the tree dies 3 weeks later because nobody actually cared about the tree. They cared about the photo.
Right, that's performative. A waste of time and money. Nong Jane's pitch is about shifting from that performance to proving potential. This is where we get to the new S-curve.
Okay, let's clarify that term. An S-curve is the life cycle of a product, right? Slow start, rapid growth, then a plateau.
And everyone's always looking for the next one, the next big thing.
But we're usually talking about AI or EVs. How does a local weed become an S-curve?
By looking at things people ignore. The source specifically mentions local microbes and fence-side weeds.
Microbes? Really? That seems incredibly niche. Are we really building an economy on bacteria?
It seems niche until you realize the global bioeconomy runs on microbes. Fermentation, biofertilizers, waste decomposition. There's immense value in finding the right local bacteria.
So you're saying that slime in the village pond could be a super efficient decomposer that could be sold to waste management companies.
Exactly. Or a specific yeast for local brewing. If a district gets serious about analyzing these things, that weed or that slime becomes a product.
But again, this costs money. And we're back to the budget issue. To a local bureaucrat, a lab test looks like an expense.
And that is the mindset trap. The source is very firm on this. Budget is not an expense. Budget is an investment. The shift is seeing it as buying a living asset.
An asset that appreciates in value over time.
Correct. Ajarn Jatapal, another voice in the text, says the budget is the people's tax. He argues it's their duty to turn that tax into edible heritage.
Edible heritage. I like that. It implies it sustains you. It's not just a statue.
It does. And Dr. Pongsak adds another layer. He says seriousness today guarantees that the children of that district will have careers in their hometowns.
That's the why that really lands for me. We talk so much about brain drain from rural areas.
Exactly. If the local weed becomes the base for a national skincare line, you need scientists, marketers, farmers right there in the village to manage it. You build an economy from the soil up.
So speed secures the rights. Seriousness builds the economic engine. But strategy isn't enough to sustain this long term, is it? People get tired, budgets get cut.
That's why you need Pillar 3, the power of heart.
This section talks about patriotism, and honestly, that word gets thrown around a lot. Sometimes it feels abstract.
Or political. But this source defines it very differently. It anchors patriotism in the physical land. Nong Jane argues that loving the nation isn't just about history textbooks.
It's in every square inch of the resources we look after.
That's a very tangible definition, isn't it? If you love your country, you should probably know what's actually growing in it, and you should protect it.
It reframes the work as gratitude, not a chore.
And we have another expert voice, Ajan Meisume, who connects this right back to the kids.
The schools again?
Yes, she calls the school botanical gardens the source of wisdom. Her point is, you can't lecture a kid into loving their village. You do it by getting a child to plant a tree, care for it, and understand its value.
So if a kid knows that this specific tree in the schoolyard cures a stomach ache, or that this vine is unique to their village,
then they have a bond with that place that can't be broken. That heart is what drives the speed and the seriousness. Without passion, it's all just paperwork.
Okay, so we have the theory. Speed, seriousness, heart. But what I love is that Nam Jane's pitch doesn't just leave it there. She gives a concrete action plan.
A roadmap. And it's surprisingly aggressive for a document about plants.
Let's walk through the 4 steps. Step 1 is stop waiting.
This is critical. In bureaucracy, everyone's always waiting for an order from above.
Waiting for the circular, waiting for the policy.
Nong Jane says, don't wait. The RSPG allows local organizations to volunteer immediately. Use your own budget. You don't need permission to start saving your own heritage.
I love that. It's permission to be proactive. Okay, step 2, start mapping. But she has a rule. 1 sub-district, 1 standout resource. Why just 1?
To avoid overwhelm. If you tell a small team, map everything, they'll freeze. The advice is find one thing, one good thing in your community.
Document it, get it on the map.
It creates a quick win. It rallies the community. Maybe it's a rare orchid, maybe a type of mango. Just start.
Step 3 is the engine we talked about. Support schools.
Pour the budget into the school botanical gardens. But the goal isn't just gardening. The goal is stated explicitly. Create a generation of young local scientists.
That phrase, young local scientists, is key. It changes the student's identity. They're not just kids, they're researchers.
They're the R&D department of the village. And finally, step 4, share the story.
Storytelling. Why is that here in a biological conservation plan?
Because data in a spreadsheet is boring. Investors don't invest in spreadsheets, they invest in narratives. If you want to attract ESG funds, that's environmental, social, and governance investment, you need a story.
So these are big capital funds, pension funds looking to invest in sustainable projects.
Billions of dollars. But they need projects to invest in.
So if a local leader says this is a rhythmic rhizome, they get ignored. But if they say this is the ancient root our ancestors used to survive the Great Drought, and science shows it has drought-resistant genes,
that gets funding. You use the data to build the story, and the story attracts the capital to scale the project. It completes the loop.
it's a whole ecosystem. It starts with a kid in a garden, moves to a database, becomes a product, and ends with international green investment.
And it all happens at the local level. That's why it's called the local giant. The power isn't in the capital city, it's sleeping in every sub-district in the country.
It's such a massive shift in perspective. We started by talking about the stock market. This feels so much more real.
The stock market crashes if people get scared. Biological resources, food, medicine, clean air, those are fundamental values. You can't eat a stock certificate.
And securing them is, as Ajar Epichart said, building armor for the nation.
It connects everything. Biological security, the children's education, the community's economic stability. It solves multiple problems at once.
So what does this mean for you listening right now? You might not be a local administrator.
But you live somewhere. You're standing on land right now.
True.
The call to action is universal. Love for the land starts with knowing the land you are standing on best.
I want to leave you with a thought. Next time you're out, just look down. Look at the weeds growing in the cracks of the sidewalk. Look at that messy bush by the fence you've walked past 1,000 times.
What do you see?
Do you see a maintenance problem, something to be trimmed and thrown away? Or are you looking at an unmapped new S-curve? Are you looking at a genetic code that could change your community's future if only someone cared enough to stop and look and map it?
It changes how you see the world. It turns the mundane into the miraculous.
The wealth is under your feet. You just have to wake up the giant.
Stop waiting.
Start mapping. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll see you next time.